Every day, from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep, your habits shape your life. Some push you forward, helping you grow stronger, smarter, and more disciplined. Others hold you back, keeping you stuck in the same patterns, repeating the same cycles. But here's the truth. Habits don't just happen. They follow a system, a loop. And understanding that loop is the key to taking control of your behavior, transforming your routines, and ultimately becoming the person you want to be. It is a four-step process: cue, craving, response, and reward. This loop runs in our brains every moment of the day, shaping our behaviors automatically. Let's have a look at each step. Every habit begins with a spark, a signal that tells your brain it's time to act. This spark is known as the cue, the first step in the habit loop. Without it, no habit would ever form. The cue is the trigger that starts the cycle. It's an event, a sensation, or a signal from your environment that reminds you to do something. Sometimes it's obvious. Other times it's so subtle that you don't even realize it's influencing you. Cues have been essential to human survival for thousands of years. Long before modern civilization, our ancestors relied on these signals to stay alive. Imagine this. You're sitting by the fire when you hear rustling in the bushes behind you. Your body tenses, your heart beats faster. That sound, your cue, alerts your brain to possible danger. It could be a predator, so you grab your spear, ready to defend yourself. For early humans, cues meant survival. They helped us find food, avoid predators, and stay safe in an unpredictable world. Today, we don't rely on cues to avoid saber-toothed tigers or find fresh fruit in the wild. But the same mechanism still drives our daily actions. It's just adapted to our modern environment. Now, instead of a rustling bush signaling danger, a buzzing phone signals a message. Instead of the sight of berries triggering hunger, the golden arches of a fast food sign make your stomach growl. Instead of hearing the crackling of a fire to seek warmth, the sight of your cozy blanket reminds you to curl up and relax. These modern cues are everywhere, shaping what we do every single day, whether we realize it or not. However, cues alone don't drive action, they create a craving. And craving is the real force behind every habit. Without craving, habits wouldn't exist. You wouldn't feel the urge to check your phone, grab a snack, or go for a run. Every habit you have is fueled by one thing: your desire to change your state. It's important to note, you don't crave the action itself. You crave the feeling it provides. You don't crave a cigarette, you crave the relief from stress it brings. You don't crave scrolling social media. You crave distraction, entertainment, or connection. You don't crave brushing your teeth. You crave the fresh, clean feeling in your mouth. So why do cravings feel so powerful? Why do some urges seem impossible to ignore? The answer lies in a chemical called dopamine. Dopamine is often called the pleasure chemical, but that's not quite right. It's not just about pleasure, it's about anticipation. Dopamine doesn't just spike when you get a reward, it spikes when you expect one. This is why cravings are so powerful. They make the reward feel just within reach, pushing you to take action. This leads us to the next step in the habit loop: the response. This is the actual habit you perform, which can take the form of a thought or an action. Whether or not you follow through depends on two key factors: motivation and effort required. If an action feels too demanding, physically, mentally, or emotionally, you're less likely to do it. The more friction involved, the easier it is to delay, avoid, or abandon the habit altogether. But not all actions require deep thought. Many of our responses are automatic, chosen by our brain without conscious effort. For example, when you're handed a pen, you don't consider which hand to use. You just write. These responses have been ingrained through repetition, making them feel second nature. The goal with any habit is to reach this point, to make the action so easy, so natural, that it happens without needing motivation. So make it easy, make it effortless, make it a part of your life. Now the last part of the loop. Every habit has a purpose. We don't just act randomly. There's always a reason behind what we do. And at the core of every habit is one thing: the reward. The cue grabs your attention, the craving builds your desire, the response is the action you take. But the reward, that's what makes it all worth it. Your brain is constantly tracking which actions lead to pleasure and which lead to pain. It remembers what worked, what felt good, and what was worth repeating. This is why habits form in the first place. Your brain creates shortcuts, linking actions to outcomes. If something gives you a reward, your brain takes note. Do this again. It's why we instinctively reach for our phones when bored, why we crave sweets when stressed, why we repeat the things that made us feel good before. Because our brain has learned this works. Rewards complete the habit loop. They close the cycle and lock the behavior into place. So remember this, for a habit to form, every piece must be in place. The cue sparks it, the craving fuels it, the response carries it out, the reward locks it in. Remove any one of these and the cycle breaks. No cue, no start, no craving, no motivation, no response, no action, no reward, no reason to return. But when all four stages align, the habit takes root. It becomes automatic. It becomes a part of who you are.